Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. We are going to be talking about Quantum Leap, and this episode is from season one, called Ye of Little Faith, episode 7. I'm here with Captain Boone. How you doing?
Captain Boone doing good, just a little spooked out.
Yeah, this even even though it is November, it is still a Halloween episode. It came out yesterday on Halloween, which was the perfect time for it to come out. Um, Another good episode, I have to say, and as somebody who, and by the way, spoilers will be ahead. As somebody who's not a religious person, is a man of science to a degree. This episode, in a way, kind of ticked the boxes because, regardless of all the crap that Ben went through in this episode, he still tried to think of a rational explanation, and it did, and one did turn out. But by the end, how did you find this episode before we start talking about it?
Interesting, as you said, he was trying to find a logical thing for this to find out if this is real or not, because he don't believe in demons. I don't either. I mean, that's kind of a folktale, whatever. They probably are real, but I don't believe in them. Of course, Ben don't believe in them either. But
Are you an atheist by any chance, Captain Boone?
no, I'm a Baptist.
Okay.
But
it was demons are not in your. Sorry,
it
demons are not in your culture.
Video. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting video.
Fair enough. Well, I am an atheist myself, so I almost felt like Ben in this episode. Like it was interesting to see how he was going to try and figure out what the hell was going on, and I very much enjoyed it. So this episode, I don't know exactly where in the world it was in America. Obviously, it was in America, but this episode was set in the year 1934, coincidentally on October 31st. So it was Halloween, and I mean, I don't know very much about Halloween, but I guess people have been celebrating it in your country for a long time, Halloween and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. You dress up like this, and you go out and you beg for candy.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
That's basically it.
Yeah. So, Ben plays basically a guy called Father Davenport. He's a priest, and he's been asked to come to the house belonging to the Greys. And we meet Lola Gray at the door and her maid, and he comes in. They're very happy to see him. And as soon as the episode begins, the house number is 669, but the 6 kind of drops. So the 9 drops, and it turns into a 6. So it's 666.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And yeah, so we get to meet all the players in this particular episode with Charles Gray, Percy Gray, Contessa, Count Contessa Gray, Dr. Felix Watts, Daisy Gray, who's the one being possessed, and Lola Gray, as well as the maid, of course. So I noticed. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but you think that Daisy Gray, the young girl who was being possessed, she kind of had a look of Kirsten Dunst about her. Would you say so?
Yeah, I mean, she was kind of spooked out.
Kirsten Dunst from Interview with Vampire, the Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film. She looked a lot like her. Anyway, so Addison basically tells Ben whilst he's there that he's already been told that he's there to do an exorcism. But whilst he's there, he has an 89% chance that in order to leap, he has to do an exorcism. Because if he doesn't, Daisy Gray will die by 6 minutes past midnight tonight. So, yeah, exactly. So,
that's what obviously,
exactly. So, seeing Ben's like all confused by this, was very interesting. And as I said earlier, Ben is an atheist. He doesn't believe. He's a man of science, and they go to see young Daisy, and just before the shit starts happening, Addison starts glitching out. Now we are obviously trying to basically relate this to the fact that we're in demons and spookiness and all of that. But she glitches out, and eventually she glitches out so much that not even Ben can hear or see her. and then basically she spends the rest of her time in the present day. And the present day in this episode was very, very minimal. We got no magic
Yep.
in this episode, very little of Jennifer. It was mainly Addison and Ian communicating with each other here and there, just finding out little bits and bobs about what happened on that day, but really nothing much. Nothing on Martinez, the guy who was leaping in the previous episodes. Nothing on him at all.
Nothing.
So, but yeah, Ben finally. Sorry.
Only at the end, which is coming up.
Yeah, there is something there. Yeah. So Ben finally does his exorcism for the first time. He before Addison glitches out, she does tell him, what he has to do, and he happens to speak Latin as well. So he's able to do it in that particular way, and then he sees the demon. Now we all know exactly what the reasons were behind it. It was to do with the vodka, but I didn't really see him drink any vodka at the beginning of this episode, so I was wondering how he saw that. That was a bit weird. But it wasn't vodka; it was gin.
He did take a sip of it later on, and he says,
Yeah,
I'm not a gin man."
yeah, me neither.
But after he had to try to do it again, he took another sip of it.
Yeah, he did take sips later on, but at the very beginning, I didn't notice him take a sip. So
he put it down.
That what confuses me. So anyway, we then meet the doctor. He's a non-believer. He, as I mentioned earlier, his name is Felix Watts, and sorry, where am I? So
Somewhere and everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. As I said earlier, it was a very unusual episode. It ended up becoming a bit of a who's done it, so to speak. You know what I mean? Which is interesting because as Ben is trying to gather his thoughts and talking to different house members, we hear Daisy screaming her head off, and Contessa is found dead. Aunt Contessa, and she's dead on top of a cupboard as well, like somebody levitated her there or something. Daisy and Contessa's a big lady, you know what I mean? So it couldn't have been Daisy unless she was possessed by the demon, but obviously now this is becoming not just an exorcism thing. And by the way, there was a lot of call outs to the original Exorcist movie. I'm not sure if you've seen it. No, you haven't seen it.
I don't like that stuff.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Let me just tell you, if you are a very religious person, I mean, it's not really scary. Like, people think it's a scary film. It's a film that will insult the shit out of you if you're a Christian, because the things that possessed girl does, is like you want me to just tell you straight out what she does in The Exorcist? She gets a crucifix and starts fucking herself with the crucifix, and she's making her cunt bleed, and she's going, fuck me Jesus, fuck me Jesus, fuck me Jesus, while she's possessed. I mean, it's really offensive. It really is a fucking offensive film. And this film was, and it got banned because of stuff like that. It really did, and anyway, sorry, I apologize. So like I said earlier, Ben starts questioning certain guests. He speaks to Percy, asks him about him. He's an encyclopedia salesman, and he is with a taste for gin, and he happens to like fucking lonely housewives because he sells the encyclopedias door to door. And then once again, Ben goes to see Daisy again, and she's still acting possessed, and he's starting to see the walls move and all of that. And so Ben decides that with no Addison about, the only person he can talk to is himself. When it comes to trying to figure out what's going on, he sees himself in the mirror, and it's really cool, this scene when he's talking to himself in the mirror, because the priest looking back at him almost comes across as a different person. Like, he's like nodding in approval and all of that sort of stuff. It's It's very good. I like the way they did that. It was very well
Yeah.
edited. But Ben decides, you know what? I might not believe, but I am playing a priest. I am inside the body of a priest, so
Right.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this properly. I'm going to go full in
Yep.
there, do this exorcism, and see what the fuck happens. You know what I mean? He's going to embrace it. You know, like all this sort of stuff.
And that's what he
So
did.
so he goes in there and he goes Amelia Patre 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 and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like proper doing it then. And you can see Daisy, she's getting levitated and everything. And
Yep.
before he does all of that, he just takes one more bit of Dutch courage with the
Yep.
gin and then he goes in there obviously.
Yep.
But he does all of that and he sees the spirit leave her body and then it goes into his body.
Yep.
And he then wakes.
Repeat.
He has an hallucination where he's with Addison and stuff, and
Yep.
then he kind of pieces it all together that the that the vodka. Sorry, I keep saying vodka. The gin that was spiked, and not
Spike
just his own gin, but the like Daisy's food was
soups.
poisoned,
Yep. Yep.
and because her soup was poisoned, it was slowly
Right.
killing her slow enough that by the time she has another bowl of that shit, it would kill her at 12 minutes
Yeah.
past 6.
Yep.
So and and after speaking to the maid as well, we find out that there was an argument during Daisy's birthday between Contessa and some of the other family members, and apparently Daisy's dad was not going to get any money from Contessa's will, so he was out. So the money was going to go straight to Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we can't. It was already easy to figure out of all the people who was going to maybe want Daisy dead. The uncle was going to be that person, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, it was obvious it was Percy.
Right.
So they come to the conclusion that Percy wants Daisy dead so he can get the money, Contessa's money, because he'll be
Mm-hmm.
next in line. And but he's already come to that, and then obviously he figured out regarding the hallucinations that through the encyclopedias, because once he wakes up, he goes through the encyclopedias.
There's
And
no
we find
internet.
out exactly. Oh yeah, the encyclopedias are
No
modern day
internet.
internet.
No
Yeah.
911.
Oh yeah, I remember that as well. When
Yeah, I
did
remember that part.
911 start? When did like the 911 thing start in America? Do you know?
I don't know.
All
Long
right,
90s,
fair enough.
maybe something
Fair
like that.
enough. But he sounded so dorky.
Yeah.
Encyclopedia, the original internet, please. There's no fucking
Yep.
Pornhub in the
Yep.
encyclopedia. You know what I mean? So anyway, but nevertheless, he figured out the hallucination that was done on him
Yep.
in the books, but by making him believe that he was seeing demons and stuff like that. But he saw the maid's eyes bleed and all of that. So
Yeah. I've seen that.
it was yeah. So it was and all of that, and then he found the secret room and all
Mhm.
of that. Obviously, the rotting smell was the fish that was laid by the maid. She was Jewish, and so
Yep.
this was her Jewish way of doing things when it came to demons. So many pieces started getting put together, and obviously Percy was the one who was most likely the person to have killed Contessa as well. But they needed a confession,
Yep.
you know. So
It's just like a
uh,
jigsaw puzzle trying to put everything together.
exactly.
Yep.
So Ben knows that Percy is the person who's doing all of this, but they need
Mhm.
to get a confession out of him. So they
Sure.
so he works with the doctor and the maid and Daisy, because the doctor has no motive to kill Daisy. That's why he's innocent.
Right.
The maid's been trying to help. So he gets those two to help him with Daisy as well, pretend that Daisy's dead.
Yeah.
This is when he wakes up from his trance, by the way.
Right.
And so they go down that particular road. Daisy's they fake Daisy's death. The constable comes along because there's been a couple of people dead in this house now, the Contessa and Daisy. So he
Yep.
comes along now.
Yep.
And then obviously one more exorcism is performed. Daisy comes back from the dead. Percy shits himself. And then he confesses to everything that he did.
Mhm.
It's just ridiculous. He confesses to everything that he did. But there was a twist because he didn't do it because he wanted the money. He did it because he wanted to run away with Lola, Daisy's
Yep.
mum. He was having an affair with Daisy's mum. So one more twist to
One
add.
more.
So it was a bit weird in a way. It was like, in a way, Lola, Daisy's mum, was trying to kill her own daughter. That's a bit fucked, isn't it? You know what I mean?
That's really fucked up, isn't
It's fucked enough that
it?
it's bad enough that your uncle's trying to kill you, but your mum,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean? But we find out that
yeah.
she kind of like, she got married young and all of that, and
Crazy
she
family.
had to, I mean, I remember she was talking to Ben, at the piano, and they briefly
Mhm.
mentioned that she was pregnant with her before she got married to Charles. So yeah, fair enough. So
Yep.
we
Gotta be
so
punished.
everything gets wrapped up very quickly as usual.
Yep.
Once everything gets resolved, Percy's convicted, then Percy and Lola get put in cuffs by the constable and they get taken away. And then Daisy, in a way, even though this should be shattering her right now that her own family members tried to get her killed, yeah, but regardless, she seems to be content, And there was a couple of cool moments here because she said to Ben, she said to Father Davenport, you know, even though there was no demon trying to kill me, I do believe an angel sent you, and I can see the angel within you. He's
Yeah.
got black hair and dark eyes, which is a
And younger
description of
looking too. Yep.
and younger looking too, which is a
Yep.
good description of Ben. So that was a bit weird, and then we kind of figure out why Addison was glitching. Is because Janice, Al's daughter,
Yep.
um, basically was trying to break through and get to him, and says that she has a very important message,
And of course,
and
Janet said right there is trying to call him Ben's name that she blocked the other one so she can try to come up and give him a warning. But by the time she got
yeah,
up there and said
yeah,
that, he started to fizz away.
exactly, which is
Yep.
always what happens. It's
Oh yeah.
always what
All the time.
happens. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I knew them, but Ben, I got to warn you. I got to
Yeah.
warn you about something, and I,
Don't,
I,
don't
I
say
was
no,
I,
Ben.
and I was discussing with people regarding
Yeah.
Janice if she was a bad guy or not, and I said she wasn't a bad guy. But the one thing she did that maybe made people think that she was a bad guy is that when she drugged her mum, she let her mum fall on the floor without catching her. Like,
Yeah.
if you just want to drug your mum so you can steal some shit, you would still catch your mum. You
Yeah.
wouldn't let her fall on the floor. She's a fucking elderly lady, for fuck's sake.
Right.
But but nevertheless, Janice came across a lot different here, and she obviously wants to get hold of Ben and inform Ben.
Yep.
She's taking the role of her dad in being
Yep.
somebody that Ben can see, like Al was. But what the warning is, I don't know. So there's more. There's more twists
Find
now.
out.
We have a leaper, possibly from the future, leaping into the past. We have Ben possibly trying to find the future, and
Yeah.
now we have a warning from Janice as well. It's like, wow, there's a lot of craziness
Make
in all of
sure
this.
don't it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think I said before, Janet's got all that stuff and everything. What is she really going to do with that? Well, I think we are kind of figuring out that she's going to do good stuff with it.
yeah, I think so. If she's the
Yeah.
daughter of Al, she's not going to be bad.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be a disservice to Al that her daughter was a
Yes.
bad guy. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
but yeah, she obviously tries to warn Ben, but he doesn't get a chance, and
Yeah.
he then leaps into God knows when, but into a body of a young lad who happens to be called Ben. You know,
Run, Ben.
and,
Run. Do you know
and
me?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, what I love about every time he leaps into a new body is like how he's always having to like suss the situation out there and then.
Yeah.
He's only got seconds to figure out what the hell's going on. And
Hey, Daniel.
cheers, bad day, but I'm here. I'm sorry to hear that, dude.
Oh.
It instantly reminded me of the Boogeyman, October 31st,
Yeah.
1964, season 3, episode 5, where Sam leaps into gothic horror novelist, and we see a demon owl that was able to be detected and interfere with Ziggy. Ah, I kind of vaguely remember that. I, I was actually giving Commodore Boone a quick brief description of The Exorcist, the original Exorcist movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I told him about the scene where, I'm not sure if you've seen it, Daniel, where if you are a religious person, especially a Christian, you're going to be highly offended because there's a scene where the girl gets the crucifix and starts fucking herself with it until her vagina starts bleeding and saying "fuck me Jesus, fuck me Jesus, fuck me Jesus." Yeah. I just told Jim about that. Pea soup.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Yeah, we never got any of that in this fucking episode. That would have been
Oh,
cool if they went there. That would
thank
be
goodness.
amazing. But no, they never went there, nevertheless. But yeah, as I was saying, Ben, he jumps into the body of a guy called Ben, and he's already having to run away. It's him, a guy, and two other girls,
Yep.
and they're running away from. I don't know if these guys were cops or like security guards or
I
whatever,
have no idea. I mean, they
but
had just regular plain clothes on. That's all they had. But they was big guys and running towards them.
exactly.
Yep.
But they looked like they were wearing the same clothes. That's just why it's hard to tell
Yeah.
what exactly where they were, and yeah, they're being chased by the cops, and it seems like they jumped into a car, drove off. The car was reasonably modernish, so it could be
Yeah.
the 90s or early 2000s,
Yeah.
and they were in like Midwest America, I guess, by the
Yeah.
deserty of the location and stuff like that. So and they it could be like a Utah or or an
Arizona.
Arizona
Yep.
or something like that. Yeah, and they drove off, giving the finger to the cops, and yeah, um, that was it. And I don't know when we're going to get any more Quantum Leap now, which is a bit of a shame, really, because that was the final episode.
That was the final one. Oh man, I was hoping for next week. Here, come on, really?
Let me have a look. Let me have a look.
Come on, there's got to be another one out there. I didn't really like this one at the beginning. I was listening to it, but then I did watch it the
Oh
second time, and it's like, well,
no
it
no
ain't as bad as
no!
I thought it was.
Oh no, there is a new episode. It's next week.
Cool
Episode
beans.
Episode 8, Stand by Ben. Ben leaps into a 16-year-old boy's body and finds himself among a group of outcast teens on the run.
Yep.
Ben relies on determination to guide himself and Addison to safety, leading to a shocking revelation as a significant piece of his memory. Oh my god! I think maybe he might meet Addison. He might be with Addison as a young girl. Determined to guide himself and Addison to safety. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there will be an episode next week that we can talk about. That's
And
just
that
fucking fantastic.
and
That's
that was
fantastic.
some kind of school or some kind of academy. He says, we just broke out of school.
Well, I mean, some of these institutions within your country, they're kind of cult like. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So and they can be like they can almost imprison you, within their walls and stuff, and maybe that's what's happening there. But it does seem like we might be coming across Addison as a young girl in this. So if we're in
Could be interesting.
2022, this could easily be like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
If that's the case. So it's going to be interesting to see how any of this pans out in the future regarding this particular episode. And will we see will we see any more revelations regarding the overall bigger picture? Did you see that video, YouTube video I sent you regarding Quantum Leap?
Yes, I watched that, and it was pretty darn interesting. And
It was,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it was good. And as I said about that map, and I think that might be coming true. The way it's
Let
starting to
me
look.
just link. Let me just link this video in the chat because
Yeah.
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I watched it once, and I watched the regular Quantum Leap about 4 times. So just kept on going with that there.
Okay,
Mm.
Outcast Kings.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Is that
Daniel.
Outcast teens. That's what I said. Anyway, this is the Daniel, have a look at this video when you get a chance. It was made about 3 days ago regarding Quantum Leap. There's some really good stuff there. Like
Yeah.
apparently maybe the military might be
Yeah.
trying to use Quantum Leap to get jobs done that they failed in the past. You know, and so they're sending soldiers back to win wars that they once lost. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe some wars that can't be won, like the Vietnam War, because it takes more than one person just to go back in time to win
Right.
it. You know what I mean? But like maybe particular failed missions that can be passed now by sending somebody back. It was really good way of explaining things as well. And they also mentioned that actually season 5 of the original Quantum Leap was actually the final season because the show was getting cancelled, so they decided to tie it up.
Right.
And apparently there was going to be a season 6, where Sam goes into the future. Possibly it was
Yep.
really interesting, and
It
also
was.
like Al comes after him as well, and he enters the quantum leap accelerator to try and save Sam. I mean, there's so much stuff here. I mean, there really is a good chance that Scott Bakula can come back now. Unfortunately, a lot of people have downvoted this series on Rotten Tomatoes because
Yeah.
Scott Bakula is not in it, which is absolutely ridiculous. These
Yep.
fanboys, these fanboys are really doing a disservice to shows which are very good because they're not getting exactly what they want.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous. So,
Yep. It is.
and if Scott Bakula does come back, in whatever capacity he does come back, he should only come back as a cameo. Like this is Ben's show.
Yeah.
This is his show. This is him leaping and all of that. I wouldn't want Scott Bakula's Sam Beckett to come back and just take over. That would be the wrong thing to do. So yeah.
Well, if
It would
if
be-
you think about it, from TOS to TNG, when they came out with the next generation, back in the '80s there, or '90s, or whatever it came out, there was a lot of people that said they wasn't going to watch that, and that first season was a rough season for the next generation. But they made it through the first one. They got over to the second one, and everyone started to watch it a lot better. Even the original cast, even Dr. McCoy was in the first one as
I
a
agree.
cameo, but they eventually started to come on board. Scotty was
I
on there and stuff
I
like
think a
that.
lot of I think maybe apart from Strange New Worlds,
Yeah,
nearly every Star Trek show's first season has been not that great.
right.
TNG, DS9, Voyager wasn't too bad, because the thing is with some of the and Discovery was awful
Hmm.
first season,
Yeah,
absolutely awful first season.
I
Um,
agree with that.
but what made
All
Strange
clean.
Strange New what made Strange New Worlds work is that a lot of these characters we'd already seen.
Yes.
So it was anyway. Daniel Vance has said, "I'm starting to think that the Quantum Leap team aren't working for who they think they're working for, and Al's daughter is attempting to save the future from a leap accident."
Yep.
Interesting. Well, how does she know what the future is unless she's been there? They really need to start giving more than the corner pieces to the puzzle. Well, yeah, this episode itself, the present day's timeline was hardly there. This episode there was nothing. That's why I never brought up the present day. Like there was a little moment between Addison and Ian regarding what was happening during that period that
Hmm.
Ben was in, and then Addison and Jennifer had a little talk, and Jennifer's giving her a pep talk, saying, you'll be okay and all of that, whilst Addison's worried that with every leap it's getting harder and harder.
Yes.
It's getting harder and harder to
Yep.
do this, and she's worried that he'll get stuck. You know, Al's daughter was programming Ziggy to view the future effects. Ah, interesting. Well, they're gonna have to somehow do this and make wherever Sam leaps into. Sorry, I keep calling him Sam. Wherever Ben leaps
Ben.
into, they whatever he does has to be in a way almost
Yeah,
second place in one particular episode, whatever that episode may be. It might have to play second fiddle to what's going on in the present day,
yeah,
because what's going on in the present day, they need to obviously really address that with more time on the present day.
yeah,
And like I said earlier, with Martinez now in the scene, Janice now in the scene as well.
yeah,
You know, and obviously Ben doing this 20 leap map
yeah,
jump to find a particular spot, and also possibly going into the future as well. It's going to be
yeah,
very interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what pans out from all of this. But I have noticed that they've changed the future on 4 or 5 occasions, and the only thing that's changed for the time team is maybe some websites.
yeah,
You know, like surely some of the things that Ben's doing will have such a significant change to the future that even affects the people at Quantum Leap. You would think that, no, but
yeah.
anyway, it's hard. It's all of this. All of this makes my brain hurt. All this time travel talk.
Well, I
But
tell you, with that second leaper that came into the spot, and I listened to the episode over and over and going, what is this second leaper all about? But since you sent that link out and everything, and I watched that, now it all ties together.
yeah, exactly.
It
You
makes
know,
more sense now.
well, that link which is in the
Yes,
chat, it,
yes.
it is just initially
Watch it, everybody.
theorizing.
Watch it. It's got a lot of good
It,
stuff.
it, it's theorizing. It's not
Yes,
concrete, but some of it is pretty good because this was
yes.
made 3 days before last week's. Sorry, before
Those,
this week's episode.
yeah,
So some of the stuff that happened this week does make sense because the guy who
right.
theorized things was kind of right, you know, without seeing
Yep.
this episode to a degree. So if there is a bigger picture to this, but then it's going to be interesting to see how they can play this out,
Oh
how they're
yes.
going to play out a military takeover and and Ben jumping through time and trying to bring him back home. It's going to be interesting how they
Yep.
pull all of that, you know. So yeah, so I'm glad we're going to get we're going to this journey of ours is still continuing, Jim, because we're going to be
I
back
love it.
next week talking about episode 8.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love it.
it's so we're continuing this journey. It's great. Um, I'm going to do the ratings now. What are you going to mark this episode?
Well, I'll give it a big 8 for darn sure. It was really good stuff in it. I didn't
Now
like I didn't like the Exorcist stuff because, like I said, I don't really believe in it, but it made the story. And with
I don't,
Ben piecing everything a little at a time, 8 all the way, baby.
see. I don't mind the Exorcist stuff as well because I
Yeah,
liked it from the perspective of as myself being a non-believer. You
right.
know, Ben also being an atheist as
Yeah,
well, and him trying to figure out what the hell I'm seeing ghosts, I'm seeing demons, I'm seeing shit coming through the walls, I'm seeing all of that. You know,
and the
yeah,
ceilings too. Yep,
and
yep,
yeah, and him trying to find a rational and still trying to be skeptical and find a rational reason to all of this.
yep.
I really appreciated all of that.
Loved it.
At the same time, I love a good who's done it. I love good, you know, like Agatha
Mhm.
Christie novels and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
and the films and trying to figure out who killed who. But it
yep.
was so obvious that
Oh
it
yeah,
was Uncle Percy, you know, and that kind of pissed me off because they should have been like a few more people as contenders of who wanted to kill Daisy, but it would have come across as a bit weird that maybe the father wanted to kill Daisy or the mother, even though the mother did try to theoretically try to kill her. It was a bit weird. And there's the maid as well, and the doctor, like they're
mhm,
bit part players, so they're never really going to have a reason to want to kill her. So the who done it aspect of this episode, in my opinion, was poorly done. It wasn't the only twist we had was when we already knew that Percy was the killer, that the revelation of why he did it, that was the only twist. So
mhm.
I'm gonna give this episode a 7, which is still pretty good.
Okay.
It's
That
still
works.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that Ben had to think for himself without having Addison to save him. So yeah, he found out very early on that he needed to do an exorcist,
Mhm.
and that was basically it. This episode that compares to the original Quantum Leap are happening in reverse order. For Ben, each comparative episode is closer to the original season one, episode one.
Mm.
Okay, okay, fair enough. So
And
yeah, but
I did get original Quantum Leap DVD. So whenever I get on busy here, I'm trying to get other stuff done. I'm gonna pop that sucker in a DVD and watch those original episodes.
yeah, and the guy in that link I sent
Yeah.
mentions member berries and stuff like that. This episode, like this season of show, like it does give you little hints to what happened
Yep.
in the previous Quantum Leap, but everything is there for a reason. It's just it helps the overall narrative,
Yep.
which is why I like this show so much. And yeah, I just can't wait till next week. You know, a young Addison. That's going to be so cool. You know what I mean? And Ben, obviously, Ben doesn't need to save her life because she lives.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, maybe she's not the person that. Maybe something traumatized Addison when she was younger, and he's there to fix that. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens because if he's
Yep.
there to fix something where Addison is involved and he resolved the issue, then what's going to happen to Addison in the modern day? Does she all of a sudden changes because whatever happened in the past doesn't happen, or like does her life go in a new direction? Does she still marry Ben? You know what I mean? Like it's very bizarre. So
Yeah.
there's a lot. That's if what I read is the case. Let me just read that thing again. Ben leaps into a 16-year-old boy's body and finds himself among a group of outcast teens on the
Yep.
run. Ben relies on the determination to guide himself
Yep.
and Addison to safety, leading to a shocking revelation as a significant piece of his memory returns. So he's going to remember something massive
Yeah.
in this episode. So we'll see how that pans out as well. So yeah, good stuff all around. I look forward to next week where we get some more Quantum Leap. Ben
Oh,
has said multiple times that he looks forward to getting back to Addison and making new memories with her. I really think something in the future is drastically wrong with Addison. Okay,
I guess we'll find out
okay.
next week. Is that
Yeah,
the
well, I
last?
guess.
Is that the last episode, or is there more popping up around the corner there?
Well, this is the only thing I've got at the moment is
Really funny.
for
Cool.
next week.
Okay.
But
I don't know if you can hear my dog
yeah,
chewing.
no, not
Hey,
really.
me.
But I am trying to find out some more information regarding these
Yes.
episodes. But at the moment, all I got is one more episode. Well, one more for next week. So if we're getting it like this, I really can't complain. It's
Nope.
it's good enough for now.
Nope.
Oh,
It's
you
getting
see episodes up? You see, what? What Daniel wants? What?
it's getting more
What? This is
interesting and interesting every week.
this is amazing. You see, this is the sort of shit that makes me 13 in
Up to
total.
this.
So they already filmed them. They've already
Yep.
filmed them. All this time, I thought I don't understand the scheduling for this shit. So all this
Thank you,
time,
Daniel.
eh,
You made my
thank
night.
you. You made the rest of my
Oh
year.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Keep talking about this goddamn amazing show. I love it. You know what I mean? And 13 for me, look, even though there's 22, like season one didn't have 13. I think only
Yeah.
had maybe about eight to 10 episodes in season one, whilst 2, 3, 4, and 5 had 22 episodes a season. But 13 episodes is just enough, in my opinion, for
Yes.
for a first season. Even for a second, third, and fourth season, 13 episodes is enough. So yeah, we'll see how this goes in season one. Now, Ian did mention that he has to do about 20 leaps. So by
Mhm.
episode 13, if he's only done 13 leaps, that might not be enough. It might be enough. Who knows? To see where he's going. But if it ends with Scott Bakula, that'll be fucking amazing. And if it
Yep.
doesn't, I'm sure we'll see him in the future. Like as I said, this show is not about Scott. This show is about fucking Ben. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. I think we're done here. To everyone out there in YouTube land, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow. Oh, good. By the way, Daniel, we will Daniel and Commodore Boone. I'm going to be on later. Um, I'm going to be on with Daniel Vance, and I'll be on with Daniel Vance, Tyler, and Josh.
Mhm.
We're going to be talking about Ghost Ship, and that'll be in about an hour's time. I'm staying up late for that one, so
Yep. There
join
you
us
go.
for that as well. So please join us for that. But yeah, but here at NerdTube, we'll be back tomorrow, talking about Andor, episode 9. I think episode 9. Yeah, get to the shuttle. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, myself and Cheetah, we're going to be joining those guys. They asked us to do uh to do something with them. So yeah, that'll be in just 15 minutes from now. So yeah, catch us on that. But yeah, episode 9 of Andor tomorrow, as well as Prodigy on Thursday. I look forward to talking about all of that stuff with you guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to
Yep.
NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care, everyone.